Hi, friends. Welcome to Tell Us We're Wrong. This is a philosophy comedy podcast or a comedy philosophy podcast. If that makes you feel better. Each week, I will introduce to you a short piece written by a famous philosopher, anywhere from the Greeks to today. Then I will have on the show two guests, either comedians, improvisers, actors, your regular Joes, Janes, or Bradens, who will try and decipher what the philosopher meant. I will ask them a series of 4 questions to determine their level of understanding in a round robin style discussion. We will have on the show a philosophy professor or a related expert who will weigh in on their answers and give them a grade. There is a catch. The guests are not allowed to research anything. Now, as the host, I will play the part of an intellectual wildcard, which means that I will also weigh in on their answers, and whether or not they agree with me can impact their score. So if they disagree with me, I hope they get a bad score because I'm petty like that. So if you choose to root for somebody during the episode, just know that if they lose, that probably says more about you than it does about them. Something to think about. Anyway, enjoy the show, and I hope we learn something. I hope you and me learn something because I'll definitely learn something. Let's all learn things. The following is an excerpt from David Hume, and it's on love.
Of all the compound passions, which proceed from a mixture of love and hatred with other affections, no one better deserves our attention than that love which arises betwixt the sexes, as well on account of its force and violence as those curious principles of philosophy, for which it affords us an uncontestable argument. 'Tis plain that this affection, in its most natural state, is derived from the conjunction of 3 different impressions or passions, viz., the pleasing sensation arising from beauty, the bodily appetite for generation, and a generous kindness or goodwill. The origin of kindness from beauty may be explained from the foregoing reasoning. The question is how the bodily appetite is excited by it. The appetite of generation, when confined to a certain degree, is evidently of the pleasant kind, and has a strong connection with all the agreeable emotions. Joy, mirth, vanity, and kindness are all incentives to this desire, as well as music, dancing, wine, and good cheer. On the other hand, sorrow, melancholy, poverty, and humility are destructive of it. From this quality 'tis easily conceived why it should be connected with the sense of beauty. But there is another principle that contributes to the same effect. I have observed that the parallel direction of the desires is a real relation, and no less than a resemblance in their sensation produces a connection among them. That we may fully comprehend the extent of this relation, we must consider that any principal desire may be attended with subordinate ones, which are connected with it, and to which if other desires are parallel, they are by that means related to the principal one.
Thus, hunger may oft be considered as the primary inclination of the soul,
And the desire of approaching the meat as the secondary one, since 'tis absolutely necessary to the satisfying that appetite. If an object, therefore, by any separate qualities, inclines us to approach the meat, it naturally increases our appetite, as on the contrary, whatever inclines us to set our victuals at a distance is contradictory to hunger, and diminishes our inclination to them. Now 'tis plain that beauty has the first effect, and deformity the second, which is the reason why the former gives us a keener appetite for our victuals, and the latter is sufficient to disgust us at the most savory dish that cookery has invented. All this is easily applicable to the appetite for generation. From these 2 relations, vis-a-vis resemblance and a parallel desire, there arises such a connection betwixt the sense of beauty, the bodily appetite, and benevolence, that they become in a manner inseparable. And we find from experience that 'tis indifferent which of them advances first, since any of them is almost sure to be attended with the related affections. One who is inflamed with lust feels at least a momentary kindness toward the object of it, and at the same time fancies her more beautiful than ordinary.
as there are many who begin with kindness and esteem for the wit and merit of the person, and advance from that to the other passions.
But the most common species of love is that which first arises from beauty, and afterwards diffuses itself into kindness and into the bodily appetite. Kindness or esteem and the appetite to generation are too remote to unite easily together. The one is perhaps the most refined passion of the soul, the other the most gross and vulgar. The love of beauty is placed in a just medium betwixt them, and partakes of both their natures. from whence it proceeds that 'tis so singularly fitted to produce both. This account of love is not peculiar to my system, but is unavoidable on any hypothesis. The three affections which compose this passion are evidently distinct, and has each of them its distinct object. 'Tis certain, therefore, that 'tis only by their relation they produce each other. But the relation of passions is not alone sufficient. 'Tis likewise necessary there should be a relation of ideas. The beauty of one person never inspires us with love for another. This, then, is a sensible proof of the double relation of impressions and ideas. From one instance so evident as this, we may form a judgment of the rest. This may also serve in another view to illustrate what I have insisted on concerning the origin of pride and humility, love and hatred. I have observed that though self be the object of the first set of passions, and some other person of the second, yet these objects cannot alone be the causes of the passions, as having each of them a relation to two contrary affections, which must from the very first moment destroy each other. Here then is a situation of the mind, as I have already described it. It has certain organs naturally fitted to produce a passion. That passion, when produced, naturally turns the view to a certain object. But this not being sufficient to produce the passion, there is required some other emotion, which by a double relation of impressions and ideas may set these principles in action and bestow on them their first impulse. This situation is still more remarkable with regard to the appetite of generation. Sex is not only the object, but also the cause of the appetite. We not only turn our view to it when actuated by that appetite, but reflecting on it suffices to excite the appetite. But as this cause loses its force by too great frequency, 'tis necessary it should be quickened by some new impulse, and that impulse we find to arise from the beauty of the person, that is, from a double relation of impressions and ideas. Since this double relation is necessary where an affection has both a distinct cause and object, how much more so where it has only a distinct object without any determinate cause?
We are going over Hume's little treatise on love. And the reason I picked this one to start out with is because when I was putting the podcast together, it was the beginning of February. And I didn't know that I was going to be dumped the day before Valentine's Day. So it made it that much more special to actually put together this episode.
Let's talk about love.
Let's talk about love. We had some pretty complicated words in the reading. We are going to try to make a, what is it called?
Called an interpretation.
Oh, a mnemonic device. Yeah. We're going to create a mnemonic device. We are going to create.
Call in a helpline, please.
Yeah, Richard is already scared. Okay. We're going to create a mnemonic device based on one of our vocabulary words. And my vocabulary word was generation. And what does it mean in this context? And from this context, I believe that it means making babies. So generation is getting people to generate more people. If you want a way to memorize it, I guess it would be like if you're a Star Trek fan, you're creating the next generation.
I'm glad that you said that because that was my assumption going in when I was reading it. I didn't do any research. So when I saw the word generation, I was like, I don't think he means like the next group of people to come after I think he's talking about baby making. My word was determinate, which is the thing that you add to something that then affects all the other things around it. So it's the cue ball that hits all the other balls that makes them all bounce all over the place. I think that's what that is.
Yeah. I got victuals. I said victuals, but I don't think that's how you pronounce it.
Victuals?
I think it is how you pronounce it.
Okay, no, I think you got it.
It could be pronounced vittles.
Oh, it could be vittles. That's a word. Yeah.
Vittles or victuals. But I will go by victuals.
No one in the comments will correct you.
Okay. All right. And victuals or vittles, as I understand it, is food. And that's only because I know that of Green Acres. Because oftentimes, Uncle Jed was saying, Ellie Mae, get the vittles ready.
It is vittles, and I know this because of Scooby-Doo.
Oh.
Yes. They would sometimes refer to it as they've taken the vittles whenever the giant stack of sandwich that they would make got destroyed. Shaggy would go, the vittles! Yoinks!
Wow.
Like that.
Well, I'm glad we have pop culture to tell us everything that we know.
That's how we teach our kids.
Right.
Our kids. Listen, the TV taught me, and it taught me well.
Yeah.
Well, do you know how much stuff my kids know from Minecraft? It's crazy.
What's the Minecraft?
First, we're going to go over our brief interpretation of what we think that this text is about.
Right.
I guess I'll start off. So basically, Hume created a clickbait listicle. First, he says that in order to have love, you need to be physically attracted to the person. Second, you have to have an appetite for the sexy stuff. And third, you have to show kindness, generosity, or goodwill towards that person. So, I mean, it makes sense because if you were to take off being kind or generous to a person, I think that makes you a serial killer, maybe? But yes.
Well, if I did that description,
Yeah. Wait.
99% of us are serial killers.
Or fuckboys. I don't know.
Fuckboys.
Oh,
Yeah, it's okay to be a fuckboy. You're
I
not
don't know.
wait a minute. We can say boys we can say boys.
You can say boys.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah, this is a 18 and over YouTube channel.
Perfect. Fuck.
We'll just say fuck.
Oh, sorry. I got to put it in context.
Get so excited.
That's fair.
But he also has a listicle for conditions where love can't exist, or I call them boner kills. They're sorrow, melancholy, poverty, and humility. But I don't know that I think he meant, well, I mean, being humiliated maybe, but humility.
It might be that it's an older interpretation of the word that is like humiliated, not humility.
That's what I was thinking.
I have to tell you, I think you did a lot more understanding of this than I did.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it's my show and I took a lot of notes.
Oh.
It's okay. I like that you guys come completely unprepared.
Yeah.
And I don't have
Can I tell you how I was trying to take in the text?
how.
I used a text reader. I'm not lying. I'm not lying. I used a text reader.
In the corner, it's like, let me tell you with forsooth.
Yeah, well, it was a free text reader. The premium voice you could only use for about 20 minutes.
Right.
So he was in the middle of Hume that like I had to go back down to the I'm the Siri voice.
Right. The robot voice. The,
Yeah.
the clippy voice.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it was a long text. It's a big read. You read too much.
All right. So also one of the caveats to this is that it also has to be reciprocated. So it has to kind of work both ways. Otherwise, it is not love, it is longing. And we've all been there, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't say that.
No. I'm just saying, do you have a
Played
thing?
soccer, and she was in my neighborhood, and she was very cute.
Yeah, no.
And then she grew up to be a lesbian, like all the other loves of my life.
Okay. Mine was more like middle school.
Okay.
Right? And she was an actress and she traveled a lot. She was following New Kids on the Block with her mom. I mean, that's the perk that you get when you're an only kid.
Yeah,
And
my
I thought
mom
you-
never did that.
The second you said actress that travels a lot, I thought you were going to be like, and it was the lady who played Laura Croft in the Tomb Raider movies. I'm like, yeah, that's fair. It was that was technically my first crush too, I guess.
Right.
What we got here is it's a listings of the ways that you fall in love from what I was able to pull from this. You were right. There's a whole bit about like what is the turn off, basically the things that I think it says defies love or something along those lines that destroys it. And those three things are being sexy, having a hot bod.
That destroys love?
No. I'm sorry. The things that can be love. There are three things that create love. It's either being sexy, being and this is where we differ a little bit. Being intellectually attractive, and then the third thing is being like a kindness, like not a kindness. Because when I first read it, I was like, oh, it's a kindness to fall in love with this person. Like maybe they're not like a 10, and you're just kind of like looking at them like, I could throw her a bone or something. But it rather that they themselves are like a good person. So you're like, that's attractive, that you're nice, and I want to be a part of that life. There's very specifically a part in the text where he goes that the best way to fall in love is to have an intellectual attraction to that person. Because if you fall in love just based on their body, that's what you call a one-night stand, basically, where you're going to hook up and then realize that person's an asshole, is awful, and say, wow, why did I even do that? What was the point of that? I feel bad for myself now. Or you can fall in love with them as being a good person, but maybe in that sense, maybe not super physically attracted to that person, which is necessary for love to exist. But you can learn to like love someone just based on how they are kind and good. It's harder though. So the best way to do it is to be intellectually attracted to them first. The other two things can follow later. But he does say that if you find one of them, you will eventually come around to find all three of them. But it takes longer if you don't do it the right way.
Yeah, I mean that's a kind of a 360 way of looking at it. Yeah, maybe my interpretation is
Please
fall short.
Tell me how wrong I am.
No, I'm telling you how
I'm trying to sneak the title of the show in.
I'm just realizing just how much I don't maybe understand the text.
No,
Because
I could be
mine-
wrong.
Wait, let him do
Because
it.
mine
You're right.
is this. I feel like he was talking about triggers.
Oh,
What triggers a response of love, and that they're all kind of three aspects of love, but some are going to give you more return on investment than others.
Gotcha.
And so, you know, like the whole section of like following the sequence of the triggers, it just feels like what it feels like to me is just watch like any Emma Watson romance movie, and you pretty much can see like all of the triggers that he's talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, or any rom-com.
It's
But
such
you can see
oh,
all
he's
the-
hot. And
Yeah.
he can cook.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh man.
yeah. Or that Kristen, no, not Kristen, forget her. That
Kristen has forgotten.
first name of my crush. Sorry, Stuart.
Kristen.
Okay, and then I was thinking of what's his name? Justin Bieber. Not Justin Bieber. What's his name?
Danny Phantom on Nickelodeon.
Oh, I don't know. It was one of those the one with Mila Kunis and Justin Timberlake.
Oh, Justin Timberlake. Yeah,
That's a great example of like, they, start doing it and
Oh,
then they
right.
don't do it. And
Sounds like
they're-
friends with benefits.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I felt like he was trying to talk about the triggers and which triggers sort of produce what kind of results.
Gotcha.
And that's about all I got.
All right.
Fair.
Sounds good.
Well, I'm glad that we all agreed that there are three things, because at least that way I know that I read the text right.
No, yeah, but the language is so dense.
It's really tense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, that whole generation thing, I had to read it like 3 times before I was like,
Oh, you're talking about
I had
that.
to listen to some automated voice talk to me in order to get it.
The only caveat I would say with yours is that he doesn't say that, he does actually say later on in the text that the initial physical attraction could not be the physical attraction. It could be the fact that you get to know somebody, you really like them, then you develop a physical attraction because you like them so much.
Which I've been there before.
Which means like he's not a shallow guy, right? Like because it could
most part.
this could have come off really bad.
Mind you, his humility is a turnoff for him, so he might be a little bit.
Why isn't this taught in school? Like this is actually a real serious question. Why isn't this stuff really kind of taught? Like to me, that would be the real, home ec.
The real questions that all teenagers have are like this, like, what is love? And a teacher's going to sit there and be like, do your algebra. And it's like, okay, well, I guess that's fine. I'd like to know what love is, though.
Yeah.
And this hits that. It's like, it's literally trying to define what love is. And it's actually very helpful. So you're right. But
Well, I just feel like it's useful information.
yeah,
For me, 35 years ago,
right.
I'm not giving away my.
So what do we have to add? Like
5 years old today.
35
Oh.
plus 12 when you've had your first crush?
All right,
Okay.
stop it here, stop it.
So our personal story based on the text. I had a friend recently say that if you can't love the one you want, then love the one you're with. And I think Hume would disagree with that being love, because I don't think that shows kindness toward the person that you're with. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, he never mentioned the word ego, but I gotta think like that idea of showing kindness is like it's letting go of your own self and being more focused, being other focused.
Right.
He talks a lot about like love as being like it's the trigger for both people. So I think you're right. I think he would be upset with that because it's the idea that like you can't give yourself totally over to this other person. They have to have something for you as well.
Right.
And whether that be the kindness, the physical attraction, the intellectual attraction, it doesn't matter. If you're just being kind to them for no reason, that's not love, that's pity.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. Yeah. And that's why it's not kind. I mean,
Yeah.
this person could go out and find somebody else who actually does
Actually loves them.
love them.
See,
That's
now
called leading them along, I think.
you just really sparked that thought in me, because like if it is like a triangle and there's 3 points of triangles, like if you're missing one, you can't really have that triangle.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you got to have that.
If they're kind and you can have a conversation with them, but you don't want to get in bed with them, then you're doing them a disservice.
Right. And then in that case, it's just like acquaintances. So is there such thing as friendship?
What? Is there such a thing as friendship?
Is that another talk? Okay.
That might be another topic.
Friendship.
What is
Let's go on to the
friendship?
next one.
Well, when they say, can we just be friends?
Right. The friend zone quadrant of the triangle that's over here. It's not part of the triangle, actually.
What did you call that? You call that a boner done? What did you call it? A boner?
A boner kill?
A boner kill.
Boner
There it
kill.
is. There it
Yeah.
is.
All right, Remy.
All right. My personal story. So my personal story in this actually comes from the way that I met my wife, Alyssa, who's probably going to be on an episode sooner or later. I was dating someone very different than Alyssa when we had first met. We spent 2 months. We were playing games at a local card role playing based bar that was in town, and we were playing Dungeons and Dragons. We just get that out of the way. And I was dating this other girl, and the other girl was fine. She was attractive, and we could talk all day long, and that was great. And then we went on a double date with one of her friends, and those friends revealed a part of her, the kindness of her, that was disgusting. That was the disgust that turned me off, which was that she was a rampant racist.
Oh.
That very night I broke up with her, and the next day I called Alyssa to be like, we've been talking for like 2 months. I find you very attractive, and on an intellectual level, we play games all the time. I need to see if there's more to that kindness in you that could work, because I've been she's a hottie, and but I was dating somebody at the time. So in my head, I was like, whatever, man, don't stir trouble at the table,
Right.
But as soon as the third point of the triangle was gone for this other girl, I was like, great, time to move on. This isn't working.
See, that led to, though, a wife.
Yes.
And
And a
then you
child
guys
on the
are
way.
a child. Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So-
What number do you have to roll in order to get a good one?
To get a good baby?
Yeah, good critical role. What's
You
your
have to get a natural 20 would obviously be for the best. Just don't roll a 1, because I think if you roll a 1, the doctor drops the baby after it comes out. So yeah, we'll be happy with whatever, but that 20 baby would be nice. It's like, help me retire one day. So that'd be nice.
My story? Well, it doesn't end with a marriage or a baby or anything.
Yeah.
And no, but what's interesting, it was a fleeting moment. So I'm like 23, and there's this, lady that I've been crushing on for a long time. And she and I volunteered at the same space, which was this kind of entertainment space.
Yeah.
And I finally convinced her to, give me a ride to a party. Right. I already had a car, but I
got in.
Yeah, I got in, and it just so happens that she said that she had a crush on me.
Wow.
And-
Those are good moments.
Those are
you
great
hired him
moments.
nice, so you pop your own tires with.
Oh yeah, yeah. The car went down the ravine, and so I'm like, oh cool. And then we're talking. There's that weird feeling, which I think Hume kind of started intimating that. I think a kiss is going to come.
Yeah.
It's coming. It's on its way. And so the next thing I know, I found myself starting to lean in, and then she starts to lean in, and it's like, it's actually on. So it is going to happen, and it does happen. And I caught the foulest breath.
Oh.
It was not good for me.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It could have been.
It was actually unhealthy for you?
It was unhealthy for me.
You looked at the back seat, and there were 20 pounds of onions back there. You didn't notice them before.
I don't know what it was. I mean, I didn't know what it was. I just knew, well, that can't be right. So then I went in and kissed again. And then I spent 20 minutes making out with her, forcing myself to go through it. And then by the end, it was like, okay, this isn't good, but I've kept telling myself that
Get through
This
it.
is what I wanted.
get through it. This is what I wanted. And then we would try to date each other for another 2 weeks, and it just
Never
kinda
got better.
fizzled out. Friends, but it just fizzled out. And so if I were to kind of go back to Hume, I think I didn't have that attraction
Mhm.
that I thought I did. And then the other thing is that I think I lost some sort of respect, and I didn't treat her nicely.
Oh, ouch.
In my mind, I was like, okay,
Well,
I'm going to keep trying.
That's especially tough when you've convinced yourself that you wanted this all along, and it wasn't what you thought it was.
Well, it's like I didn't want to fail
Yeah.
at the original objective, which is I want to date her.
right.
And then, so I wonder if is that a sign of disrespect when you're like, I'm going to keep on trying, but you already know.
Yeah,
It's
once
not
you
gonna-
know.
I think it's the disgust that he's talking about, right?
Yeah.
That idea that it's the thing that destroys love. Your own mind was destroying the love that was never there.
Yeah.
It was coming out in ways that were bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm my own best heartbreaker.
Yeah, exactly. And
Me too.
yeah, same.
We are all broken people.
People with the whole world.
Oh, come on, John Legend. Take
okay.
that. Take that lyric, John.
It's okay because my wife found all the broken pieces and she put them back together. But then she put a bunch of other stuff like
God.
murder mystery stuff in there as well. And I'm like, why you put all this here?
So I think I understand Hume.
All right.
I think.
All right, cool. We'll see when the professor weighs in.
No.
All right. So now how does this tie into what's going on in the world or society? Our most recent turn of events was quarantine and the mass breakups that happened after quarantine. Yeah, I mean, when
You're right. That absolutely. Yeah. People were forced to be with each other in a way
Exactly.
that they were not accustomed to.
Well, yeah. Some of them stopped working. They're in the home, or they're working only from home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's this idea of like, if you're going to be with someone, you have to really be cautious of who else you're with because you don't want to get them sick. So now it's like you've created this bubble of like, it's me and like 4 other people. And that's kind of that's my group now for the next 2 years.
Yeah, and I think the how Hume would look at it is that, when you were forced to have this like isolated, living situation and you realize the person that you're with and you're like, oh my gosh, did I make a mistake? That is then where where you lose that kindness, I guess. for
That's
the
why
other
you should
person.
only live with people in trucks.
Yeah.
You find out real fast.
Yeah.
That's what I think. Maybe.
And if nothing else, you can leave with the radio. When I was reading this, the thing that kicked in my brain the hardest was dating apps. Because I was reading through it and I was like, first comes the physical attraction, then comes the intellectual attraction, then finally comes the emotional kindness attraction. In my head, I was like, that's literally the swipe left or right thing. Because you look at someone, and before you read their profile, before you find out what that person's about, before you find out if you're like, why the algorithm put the 2 of you together, you look at them and you say, nah, boobs are too small, face is a little funky. Actually, nah. And it is. It's like it's the fastest recorded interaction of this moment of like, start with the physical. If I'm not physically attracted to this person, I'm not going to read anything more about them. I'm not going to try and talk to them. I'm not going to try and meet them until that initial click happens. But then at the same time, it can happen the other way around where like you get a filter on that person and maybe you get a professional photographer to come in and then you meet them in person and that initial click is not there because that's not what they really looked like. And it doesn't matter what the other things were because now you're not physically attracted to them anymore. And it is this triangle of love happening within seconds of each other over and over again in a never-ending cycle that leads to, well, about $6 a month, if I remember correctly.
You were looking at apps, and I was kind of looking at media, film, TV.
Yeah.
And we were seeing the constant reflections through TV shows, movies. Oh, it's another Hallmark movie. And 2 things come to mind. One, I don't think we see those movies, or I think we have those movies and those TV shows, and it's a sign that we actually don't operate from a framework. Hume operate from a framework. And I think Hume could look at probably the movies and the TVs today and go, did I say the TVs? I said the TVs.
The TVs today.
And then
I had multiple TVs. It's fine. I listened
and then the video
in the
and
office at the same time. Yeah.
oh, you beat me to it. And go, yeah, I am watching nothing but entertainment or media that does not know what love is, right? Only can the entertainment like hit the lizard brain.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's either fight or flight, right? It's either you have love, you don't have love. It's all lust. It's
the hero's journey of like,
Yeah.
we've made a formula for love.
right.
And if you hit those spots, the brain will trigger and say, oh, they're in love.
But there's no ever getting to what it might be or what it is, or to have a healthy frame of it.
Right.
And so that's the thing that I was able to take away is that maybe for the longest time, I've not myself have had a healthy framework around it to look at it and go, this is how I know love works. Because when you watch all the videos and the shows and whatnot, mostly you're seeing reactions to it, but never trying to figure out how it actually works.
Yeah.
So we're reacting to something rather than going, oh, I can see why it's not working because I have a framework to work off.
When a movie that I think actually does it pretty well and follows this formula pretty well. Did either of you seen The Proposal?
Who's in that?
That's
Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, Ryan Reynolds and Betty White's in it.
Is that who he's proposing to?
No. Wouldn't that be great though? But
No, I
I,
guess so.
I can't remember who the girl is. It's one of my wife's favorite actresses, and she's gonna kill me when she sees this. But I truly can't remember what her name is. But it's this great bit where at the end they go through all these trials and tribulations, and then he says, "Will you marry me so that we can date some more? Because I don't want you to have." Because the whole idea is that she's getting kicked out of the country because her visa's expired.
Oh, I've been there.
So they get married. Yeah,
You really?
Yeah, I married a Canadian.
that's exactly what it was. She was a Canadian, and so the idea of like
They always try to sneak into this country. Isn't that disgusting?
Why? Why? We don't have.
it's not deathly cold all the time.
Yeah.
You know.
I like my son says he wants to move to Canada because it's like America without Americans.
That's very fair.
All right. Oh, I know. We don't have. Oh gosh, what's the name of that donut shop? It's like their Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah, it really is. And they're good donuts.
Tim Hortons.
Tim Hortons, they also have great coffee.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, we don't have a Tim Hortons.
Yes, we do. It's called Dunkin' Donuts. It
Oh.
sucks.
Wow. Why did you gather us here?
Oh, I did want to go back to like the swiping stuff. Women actually
They do
do.
it the other way around.
They do. Okay, so if we ever get to another, so there's another philosopher, Simone de Beauvoir, and she talks about how women tend to shoot low. And after dating somebody who's incredibly hot, I understand why they do this. But yeah, women tend to shoot low. So they will look at unattractive guys and look through, they will read the profile because if the personality is like there, then that makes it worth it,
Gotcha.
at least. Yeah.
I think that makes sense.
And so that from a Humean perspective, that would be that secondary tier of
You would
like,
be the intellectual attraction
Right.
as opposed to the physical attraction.
right.
Which is probably why online dating doesn't always work great.
So wait a minute. You need all three.
But the starting point is
The
important.
starting point, but then it sounds like this is where I'm going to place my bets here, and hopefully reach the other two spaces. Is that what I'm understanding?
It's got to start. It has to start
Yeah, it has
somewhere.
to start somewhere.
Yeah,
Whether-
it
whether-
seems
Don't
like
do
that's
all
a
three at
big
once.
bet.
It is a big bet. Lots of bets.
It's a huge big bet. Like
Loves
as
a
a
bet. Absolutely, it is. It's
Yeah.
always been a bet. It's the hot girl at the bar that you're going to go try and buy a drink for, or it's reading a piece or an article online and being like, that's someone that I would like to meet without knowing what they look like, or it's seeing the effects that their lives have had on others and saying that's a person whose kindness is great enough that I would want to know them. And then the other three things have to happen too, but it starts somewhere. And Hume is saying that it starts at one of these three places. I could be wrong.
Richard looks confused. All right.
No, I'm not confused. I'm just thinking.
I'm just intense.
I'm just thinking about like when you place that big bet, are you being honest with yourself?
Ooh, that is a good question.
Because I placed the big bet, and I wish I had some Listerine.
There you go.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I'm thinking about my story.
Yeah, I know.
You remember my story?
I was like, well, that wasn't a big bet. I mean, it's not like you guys.
It was a big bet to me at the
We're
time. It's
getting
like
married
you're
or-
gonna.
Yeah, it's all about perspective. This was a girl that, and you said you've been after her for a while. So it's like, this was like it, and it was a huge letdown.
So you had the two going,
Yeah.
and then that third one fell short.
Yeah.
And it fell short in a way that you didn't expect, because I'm guessing that she was probably attractive.
Yeah.
But then you kissed her and it was like, oh, this doesn't work.
Yes.
This part doesn't work. And it's still that first part.
Yeah.
It's just a part you didn't know about, which I think comes into practice a lot, actually. I've known people who have broken up because the sex was bad.
Oh.
Like everything else was good. They were friends for a long time. They lived together for a while. And then the next day you would be like, Ken, why are you moving out? Yeah, she's into some stuff. I'm not into that stuff.
I heard stories. Yeah.
Stories.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I've never.
But it's the same deal. It's like
Yeah.
the kiss didn't work, so the first thing didn't work. You know?
Got it.
I'm saying this like I know.
Well,
I sound like I know, don't I?
I do. I do believe you.
So let's go into context. Why do I think that Hume wrote something about love during the time that he wrote it? So now I'm going to sound like, oh, this is going to be really bad. I think this is like post-Enlightenment era, maybe. And this was around the time when women were allowed in the saloons and they were allowed to be more intellectual. And so I think there was more of like a trend to actually connect with your partner in a way that was more intellectual and stimulating and engaging. That was par for the course for love at that time, whereas before it was more of like a transactional kind of situation.
It's almost like a dating guide, right? Because it's like now that women are allowed to be expressive in intelligent ways and in kind ways and not just in physical ways, you can't just go to the local farmhouse and give them 2 chickens and a donkey and get a wife.
Right. Yeah.
There's a new way of finding a wife. And this is like Step one, step two.
I mean, this is the new middle class, you know, the intellectuals. So they no longer had to marry for title or name or whatever. So
Yeah.
they could marry for love.
I have no idea when he wrote this. I have no idea. I honestly have no idea when he wrote it. So I don't know what time or what the context was. I just know the language was really weird. And a lot of commas, a lot of breaks, and it's like random. And
Every time he said the word viz, I was so confused.
I just,
And that meant vis-a-vis.
Yeah, it says vis-a-vis.
Well,
My wife had to explain that to me. I thought he was talking to a person.
well, and it helped me understand what does vis-a-vis mean.
Good question.
I'm really asking, what does vis-a-vis mean?
I don't know.
I think it means like, for example.
Okay.
Okay.
It's like a form of, for example.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
these are these.
yeah. Now, that said, you know, so I don't know the full context of what was going on at the time, but it felt like as I was reading it, it felt like he was saying, hey, you know, at the end of the day, it feels like this is very much an intellectual game.
Yeah.
Right. Like you can feel something, but then you got to be able to interpret what it is that you're feeling. And then you make a move. That move could be, hey, we should probably just be friends because I see that 2 to 3 is not working.
Right.
Right. So that's why I'm saying I like that he tried to explain how the mechanics, and if you do this, almost like he was giving us algebraic equations to know, okay,
Not COVID.
or
It's not COVID.
or not COVID, but or like he was giving us GPS coordinates, right? It's like, this is what it's going to take if you go this way, and you're going to go through more tolls if you go that way.
Right.
Or you'll never reach your destination if you go this way. So otherwise, I don't know when.
Trying to triangulate love.
Yeah, I'm going to assume that he wrote it 1887.
Okay.
Cool.
All right.
So you came at this from a time period kind of standpoint, and you came at this from a like looking at the text itself to decipher when possibly the not euphonics, the way that of speaking might have commented.
Yeah.
I looked at this at a personal standpoint. What part of his life would someone sit down and be like, let me draw a map to love? And the answer is when he's drunk at a bar and he's trying to convince a girl at that bar, hey, you should come home with me tonight, and here's why. I have mapped out the road to love. I have a physical attraction to you here, and we've been talking for a while. Here's the intellectual trap, and there's no disgust between us, so there's nothing destroying our love. Now let's spend some time together and figure out if that third thing's going to work, and we can get degenerating, baby. Yeah. And then he writes it all on a napkin, and the next morning he wakes up and he goes, this is genius.
Yeah.
Who the hell are you?
I just like the idea that he's trying to diagram it and everything. And you know, I certainly hope that he had the presence of mind, like, so here you go. Here's the quilt.
Right.
Well, why don't you show me how we get there? Ow, so smooth.
Here's my corner. Why don't you add your corner in, and we'll add the diagram. And she's already gone.
I just won that game of tic-tac-toe.
You owe me a beer.
Let's introduce ourselves because I think we skipped that part. I am Jackie Elanese. I am half Mexican and I don't like beans. I'm a writer and a creator of the show. And this is Richard Paul.
Yeah, hi, I'm Richard. I'm a performer, and I like to travel to small towns, visit the curio shops, and try their hot, chip challenges.
Hi, I'm Remy Kerouac. I'm a soon-to-be father. I have a deep fascination with philosophy, though I don't have any training in it at all. And I'm learning to make bread.
Oh, nice. Sourdough starter?
Sourdough starters. It takes a long time, it turns out.
Yeah, you kind of started that late. That everybody was doing that at the beginning of the
Well,
quarantine.
that's why I'm doing it, because now everybody's got sourdough, and I don't got no sourdough.
And horseradish is wonderful.
We should also address the elephant in the room, and you are actually related to Jack Kerouac.
I am related to Jack Kerouac. He is my distant uncle. The Kerouac clan is huge. We're all over the place. We're a bunch of Irishmen and Frenchmen.
Do you ever go to the little Jack Kerouac?
Yeah.
house?
And we have a bunch of his original writings and recordings.
Wow.
My grandmother keeps. Here's the thing about that, though. Most Kerouacs do not like Jack at all. He was kind of a jerk who borrowed a lot of money and then stole a lot more and then went to Mexico to find the love of his life and then ditch her and write a book about it.
Oh, good guy.
Wasn't he? Hey, he came up with some pretty okay poems, and On the Road was all right.
You know, some people might call that humor.
Nice. Not that. Not,
Is it nice?
it's actually nice.
I think that was offensive.
No, that was
To
pretty good.
Hume. Sorry, Hume.
So let's now check in with our expert. Today we have with us Ben Winokur. Is that how you say your name?
Yeah, I typically go by Ben. It's true. I put Benjamin sometimes because it looks more professional somehow, but Ben is cool.
And you're a PhD, so can we call you Dr. Ben, or are you against it?
Yeah, I got my doctorate in 2021. I've been teaching for a few years now at various universities. Right now, I'm at the University of Macau, which I've just started at like 2 weeks ago.
Nice. And that is where, because when I was looking up the time zone, it says Hong Kong.
Yeah, I'm basically an hour drive from Hong Kong. There's a bridge connecting Hong Kong to Macau. So they're both like southern kind of islands unto themselves in southern China.
And then before that, where were you? You were in Canada, right?
I was in Canada just for the summer, I guess, when you and I started going back and forth via email. But I was living in Delhi, India, prior to that,
Wow.
teaching at a Ashoka University for a year. It's a small university in Haryana near Delhi.
Pretty impressive. What a big get for this show. So Richard is here with us. Remy could not make it because he is a new dad and
Yeah,
he's
I saw that.
incredibly exhausted. Richard and I, if we look very tired, it's because it's 5 a.m. where we're at.
Yeah, well, that's why I was not entirely sure if the time zones were what we thought they were, because this is really incredibly dedicated on your parts. I mean, to me, it's like middle of the day. It's totally normal, but I'm kind of amazed you agreed to this time, to be honest with you.
I don't have kids,
True, that's a start.
and I still look tired.
You look pretty good to me.
Richard has been doing a show with his group Gaggle Reflex, and I saw it this week. It was really, really good. You guys are seasoned professionals, and you guys like nailed it. Even though you had a room full of drunk people, that was pretty impressive.
Well, I mean,
Gaggle reflex.
yeah. I mean, yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah, well, is it? Here's what I'm scared about here, that it will be proven once and for all that I actually read below a 6th grade reading level based on Dr. Ben's feedback and analysis. And so I'm just letting you know right now, and I could use that because I'm sweating here.
I'm literally sweating. The humidity here is taking some adjustment, so I'll be
Oh.
fanning myself periodically.
Is it like hot?
It's like 30 degrees every day, but the humidity is just relentless, just utterly brutal. Like you're showering and you don't feel any relief at all. You just feel like another layer of sweat is accumulating as you shower. Like it's wild. I just sort of allow the sweat to just drip down my face, and I don't pay as much attention as I did before. But physiologically, it's every bit as brutal as the day I first arrived.
Wait a minute. No one told me that we were going to use words like physiologically. No one said anything about those words.
Oh, there might be a couple more big words coming up, so you'll have to strap in, I think.
There are no dumb questions, Richard. So if you need a pause,
That's true. That's true.
we'll get you. Richard and I are in Florida, so we are used to being damp quite often. Yeah. So we understand. Let's go ahead and dive right into the analysis of our analysis. Remember, the contestants are Richard and Remy, so that is really who you're grading. But you can tell me if I did anything right or wrong as well, because all of us are learning.
I listened obviously a couple times to your conversation, and I don't think there was anything to be embarrassed about in what you were talking about. I think it was you, Richard, who said it is kind of wordy at times. Hume doesn't always make it easy for himself or for his readership, I suppose. But in light of all that, I think everybody did a pretty admirable job. I should mention also that in like academic circles, at least, Hume is often referenced as like one of the most readable philosophers from that period. Like everybody's always talking about how wonderful his prose is. So it's like funny for me to encounter like non-academics reading Hume and just thinking like, maybe this isn't how everybody feels about Hume, right? But I mean, for all that, there are philosophers who are even more nightmarishly difficult to interpret, even from this period in the early modern Europe.
Who do you think is the worst?
Hume might have benefited from ChatGPT. Just get to the point.
If there's something to be said for ChatGPT, it's that it does have this ability to kind of break prose down into something a little less nightmarish sounding to the average reader, I suppose. You were just asking, Jackie, though, who's like the worst from that period, you mean, in terms of like writing?
Yeah, who's the most difficult, do you think, to understand?
A lot of people say this about Immanuel Kant, who's in many respects trying to improve upon and go beyond some of Hume's ideas. There is a contingent of people who think Kant is actually very readable and that it's just everybody else's fault for like trying to rush through it. But if you ask like the average undergraduate student of philosophy, there a lot of them are going to say Kant is the point in the class where things like completely take a nosedive in terms of difficulty. And then they're wishing to go back to Hume. So maybe that's why people talk about Hume as being so readable, because it's like comparatively to what comes after in this particular like historical trajectory of philosophers. Maybe he's just like comparatively readable, but less readable than ChatGPT, I guess.
Hume is the everyman.
Yeah. By all accounts, apparently he was fun to hang out with.
Oh.
Well, he was unabashedly atheist, so,
He
yeah.
had a hard time with that. That's true. You know, his works weren't particularly well received in his lifetime. It's only really posthumously that people regard him as one of the greats, I guess. But he liked to party. I know that. And he describes himself as having like a very sort of amicable, kind of joyful disposition most of the time.
Okay.
That's the guy we're dealing with here.
So you're coming around on Hume a little bit, maybe, Richard, at least in spirit.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, like a guy I would see at the Celt, so Irish bar. They'd order some table fries and have some Scotch eggs, but we know they're not the real Scotch eggs, or that they are, but they were frozen and then shipped.
But maybe back to the real question, which was the analysis on your parts. I do have some very compelling notes from you, Richard, that the text is long and the language is dense. I think that's a good start to the analysis for sure. But maybe just to the actual ideas, I'll say a few things. So I think it was Ruby, who's not with us today, who described the point of the text, for maybe it was both of you in a way, both Jackie and Ruby, who described it as, I think it was you who called it a listicle. Yeah, you called it a listicle of I guess ways to fall in love or components of love.
Right.
And I guess in a manner of speaking, I think that's true. At least certainly that's part of what Hume is up to in this text, right? He does obviously begin these passages with this description of three kinds of impressions and passions. Both of these are like kind of technical terms in his work, but they broadly speaking refer to like feelings or like attitudes of kind of affection, right?
Yeah, I think I described it as like his listicle of the steps to fall in love.
So I could see that interpretation as well as like a reasonable starting point for sure. I think maybe I read this particular text of Hume's through a certain lens because some of my expertise is in what you would call like the philosophy of mind, which part of that discipline is to try and make sense of what different types of mental phenomena there are and the ways in which they interact with each other. And I see Hume as doing a lot of that in this text, right? He begins by listing these various components of the amorous passion, right? So there's the appreciation of beauty, there's the appetite for sex, and then I guess the goodwill that you have toward the thing that you find attractive, or like the benevolent attitude. And so you could just read him as describing these as the components of amorous love, like romantic love, I guess. And that would be fair enough. Although I think as you proceed through the passages a little further, you find that he's in a way trying to address a kind of puzzle as well, because he notices these to be the components of romantic love. But he also notices that some of these components don't really seem very similar to each other at all, right? So there's that issue of that he points out of, the desire to have sex is like kind of like a crude or vulgar pleasure, as he calls it, which I mean, I don't know if you have to read too much into that. Like maybe he doesn't mean to like denigrate that, but certainly he thinks of it as like a less intellectual passion or whatever, or like a less kind of civilized passion than benevolence or kindness.
I can understand that, right?
Okay.
I'll show you the difference. If love was an intellectual pursuit, this is what it would look like. But it sounds like what you're saying is Hume is like, love is like this. Ooh.
Maybe. I mean, there's a question for sure.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said anything. I should have said anything.
I think when you read different parts of these passages, you could get both impressions. And I think there's a point here somewhere where he says it doesn't necessarily matter like which one comes first. So in the end, I think you're going to find that it's kind of both. It's kind of like this ooga booga thing, like this really primitive primal brain phenomenon, but it's also going to involve this kind of more thoroughly human attitude of like caring and feeling a certain measure of respect or kindness toward the object that you also have this kind of like ooga booga-ness toward, right?
When I was listening to it this morning, I did notice it felt very primal, almost like you were attacking the thing. Because he also mentions how you go at it like you would go at a piece of meat or like a piece of
Right.
food, like you're devouring this thing. And I guess
Yeah.
when it comes to like the sexual appetite.
Yeah, and I think exactly. Especially, yeah, as he calls it, the generative appetite, right? Which you're right. You were wondering. I recall in your conversation, you were wondering if really he just means sexual appetite, and I think he does just mean that. And so when you're focusing on those parts of these passages where the generative appetite is the thing that he's most interested in, then yeah, you really get the sense that it is this kind of primal, almost unthinking, purely physical, lusty sort of phenomenon. But it's not just that, of course, because not only is there also this kind of kindness or benevolence that one feels toward the person to whom one's attracted, but also this kind of central attitude of appreciating their beauty, right? And so I was mentioning just a minute ago that you could read this passage or these materials of Hume as like an attempt to solve a puzzle. And I think that reading is fair because he thinks of the kind of the generative appetite as very primal caveman brain attraction, get the thing that you want, and then kindness and benevolence as much sort of more developed attitudes. And so they seem so different from each other. How come we always have both when it comes to amorous passion? And the answer is that these seemingly different attitudes are nevertheless related to each other because they both stem from this principal attitude, which is the sense of beauty or the appreciation of beauty.
Is that to say though that okay, there's a sense of beauty, and he's trying to figure out the puzzle. Did he figure out where that sense of beauty stems from? Okay, wait, whoa. Did I just ask a good question?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think you're not giving yourself enough credit in general, Richard. I think
First of all, let's go. Throwing it in there, throwing it for myself.
Oh shit, okay, he's got the money. Sorry, am I allowed to cuss? I feel like I already
Yes,
cussed like
yes.
twice.
Well,
Okay.
okay. I've actually had to I was gonna make a few foul jokes earlier, but I have it's my morning brain is very trying to be good.
Oh, I see. Yeah. It's only throughout the day that you end up just like letting the depravity take hold of you, right? Yeah. In the morning you have to at least try and resemble like a civilized person.
Right, exactly. So we did actually talk about that in the show. Can being attracted to somebody's physical appearance be the first thing or the second thing? And he does say that you can eventually get to finding them physically attractive if you're drawn to like their sense of humor or,
Yeah.
intelligence. So the beauty can come about either at first glance or upon getting to know someone.
Yeah, that's very true. And this exact point is what kind of makes his overall picture a bit more complicated because he does say, yeah, there's these three components and they don't necessarily come in any particular order. He seems to think that recognizing beauty or feeling like the pleasantness of something's beauty is like the usual cause of the other things. So it's usually the case that like you find somebody beautiful and you have this like experience of their beauty. And then with that comes the desire to treat them with kindness and the generative appetite as well. But you're absolutely right that it doesn't necessarily follow that particular like order in time or like causal order. And so you could have it, yeah, either you could have like one of those other components come first, or indeed, even more complicatedly, it could be like you're not really just appreciating anything about their physical beauty at all or anything like that. It's like a totally sort of begins kind of as like an intellectual appreciation and then slowly or maybe even spontaneously in some cases becomes also like this kind of carnal physical thing. But nevertheless though, I think he believes that to have amorous passion you do need to have all of those components eventually. Otherwise, as I think you were also aware of, you might better just call it like lust or even just like friendship in some of the other cases, right? Like in the case where I have kindness towards you and I respect your intellect, but I'm not remotely generatively appetitive towards you, then probably you're just my friend. Right. So you have to have it all eventually, but the order in which it happens can vary, I think.
I think he is missing a point though, and I think it's a point that Richard brought up. So I think Richard needs to go back and rewrite Hume for him. The thing about smell, pheromones playing a part in
Oh,
all.
yeah. Yeah. Good point. So it's true. I think if you read Hume, you get the impression that it's like all the like physical components of our attraction just come from like visually available stuff about the person or like from other more common senses like the way they talk, the sound of their voice or something could also presumably be a cause of generative appetite. But yeah, modern science reveals stuff to us, like pheromones that were probably just not on his radar as like something that exists.
I heard showering wasn't like as a deal. Wow.
I think it was just harder to come by a good shower back in the day, you know. People probably were just way more tolerant of smelling awful.
Well, it depends on which 7-Elevens you go into today. You kind of see the same problem.
Yeah, you can get a sense for the 1700s.
Yeah, 8 of those 7-Elevens are on my route. So I have to drive out of the way to get to a good 7-Eleven. In which case, it's called a Wawa. Have you Wawa?
Wawa is what I called water when I was like a 2-year-old. So I don't know. That's what it sounds like to me.
No need to float your degree over me. You don't have to do that, Ben.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it's our convenience store in Florida. It's new to me too because I'm originally from California. So yeah, seeing a store and called Wawa is
How do we get on Wawa? Smell.
for the two contestants, their overall view of what this meant. Who do you think came out on top for this one?
Can I at least get a C?
Oh, so it's like letter grades.
It's however you want to grade it because I've had feedback from another professor that said that it's probably best to just declare a winner.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Whoa. Just better just to declare what. So it would have been a bloodbath. It would have been Remy, you get a D. Richard, you get a D minus. It'd be kind of like that kind of thing. It's like, well, but you are the winner.
I would have given you both better grades than that.
Oh, all right. Let's go.
But okay, here's how I'll put it. So my impression, based off of the footage I had access to prior to this conversation, I would have given it to Remy. However, you've already made some excellent contributions during our discussion right now. So if I'm able to add that in, it's much closer, and I maybe I might even give you the edge, to be honest. Although
Remy is
he's not here to defend himself, so.
He's not even here, and he's kicking my ass.
But in that context of that earlier conversation, you were a little bit you kept your cards a little bit closer to the chest, it seemed like.
He's afraid to look too too dumb. But you're not dumb, obviously.
Too dumb. Whoa.
But I know you felt
I
dumb.
think the goal is to not look dumb at all.
Too dumb. Okay. All right. That's my new hip hop name. It's Too Dumb.
I'm surprised nobody's taken that already.
Because they're dumb.
They're too dumb to figure it out.
Okay. So tell us about this analysis.
Or we could go on to the next question, which was how did it fit into their personal life?
Actually, I'll definitely give you the win on this category because your story about like the kiss that just completely turned you off was really funny. And it forced me to remember an encounter of mine from my undergraduate days, which I wish I did not have to recall, but I was laughing pretty hard while I was listening to that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, we were good people. We're good people.
Yeah. Hume ought to have said more, I think, about, the ways in which we can turn each other off, right?
Well, did he write about that?
Not to my knowledge. Though I should probably say, maybe I should have led with this. Like I'm not really a Hume scholar by trade, right? I teach Hume at the undergraduate level. I have a good deal of respect for Hume. I enjoy a lot of Hume's theories and ideas. And for some reason, I even enjoy some of his writing. But, like my actual sort of research program or whatever is not like Hume specific. So there's plenty of like gaps in my knowledge about exactly where he might have talked about certain kinds of things. And this would be one such case. Although my inclination is to say, if you're not finding a discussion of like turnoffs in these sections, you're probably not finding them anywhere else.
Well, he did say that there were places where love could not exist. And
yeah,
but he didn't say anything about bad breath. He did say there's a certain level of discomfort that you would not be able to tolerate.
And there could be problems in your own case, right? I remember actually now, you were all focusing on humility as like a weird thing for him to talk about. So Hume begins, or close to the beginning, by saying that sorrow, melancholy, poverty, and humility are destructive of sexual desire. When I read that passage, it seems to me like he's talking not about turnoffs from the other person, but issues with oneself, perhaps, that make it just impossible for one to be horny, I guess. Or at least make it difficult. And I actually appreciated that you picked up on humility as like a weird factor there, because it does seem like the hardest to interpret from that list what you might have meant.
Well, I mean, like, why couldn't he have just said confidence? Like, see, this is why you need ChatGPT.
Yeah.
We could just get to it, and then I would have won that, and it would have been a better grade for everybody.
Yeah, I guess it's true. If you have confidence, then probably you don't have any of these other things like sorrow, melancholy, humility. etc.
What would humility be in terms of like not being able to generate that love that he's talking about?
This again, this could be a question for like the Hume scholars to jump in and say, oh, he talks about humility in section 56 of whatever. But as far as we have to go on with this text, my best suggestion is that by humility he means something like self-esteem.
Mm, okay.
I think it's a bit from like the way our ear picks up on the word humility these days. Humility sounds something more like modesty, which we think of as a virtue, right? Not a vice. Whereas for him, humility would be something like such a lack of self-esteem that one is like not really able to sort of view oneself in a sexual way, or
Mm,
something like that.
that makes sense.
But again, this is sort of conjecture on my part. I could very well be wrong about that.
If people could, back in Hume's time, if they had the technology, it sounds like they would get like an app that they would use as sort of a biofeedback. I mean, I know I use apps to like you're good enough.
Oh, like positive affirmation type. Yeah. I see what you're
Yeah.
getting at. I guess they didn't have that. They just had each other. Like,
Yeah, and Jackie, if you could edit that out, that would be great. Thank you.
well, you don't want that in the public knowledge.
Tell us more about your analysis.
No, it's okay, Richard. I've revealed much worse on the show, so I think you're okay.
I think it's sweet and cute.
It is. It is. It's charming.
It exhibits a charming vulnerability. So
Mhm.
I think you should leave it in.
I think the women would like it. So
Oh, there you go. There's your answer, Hume.
And that's important because this text doesn't give you any sense that he thinks of sexual desire between people of the same sex. That love betwixt the sexes part in the title.
well, maybe he is, and that's why he had to clarify that it was between the sexes and not of the same sex.
But I guess I just figured so much of this analysis would apply in the same sex case as well.
Yeah, I would think so too.
At least I see no reason why not. But
It would make sense in between multiple different, because if I'm understanding the conversation right, there's various forms of phenomenology, right? That there's this intellectual phenomenology and this feeling phenomenology, and or these things that emerge. I can't imagine some people who have different or prescribes maybe intersex, or they still kind of feel what they feel and they like what they like. I'm assuming. Wow, when did I get so smart?
yeah, you didn't like one of my words at the beginning, and then you bust out phenomenology completely unprompted. So
Oh no, but isn't that what you were talking about earlier? Like the whole because I have to say I really don't never really studied any sort of philosophy. Not to the level you two are at, but it a lot of it is about figuring out how do people work. Why is it things appear to us as they do? That I get.
yeah, and that's definitely a kind of phenomenological question. You're totally right.
Yeah, but that's that, and then that's where it stops.
So where are we here? Was I saying anything? I think whatever I was saying before. I think
We were talking about our personal story that ties into the text. So Richard had the
right.
story of the bad breath, and then
Yeah.
Remy's story.
Realizing that somebody he was dating before had this like really toxic trait or something,
Yes,
and then that spurred him away. Right. Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Destroyed his generative passion entirely.
So point goes to Richard on that one.
Yeah, I think so. Soundly.
And then we talked about how it ties into society.
Yeah, and then you were discussing like COVID as the great relationship destroyer of our time, I guess, right?
One of them, yeah.
I suppose, at least as far as Hume is concerned, or as far as he would hope to achieve, I think the descriptions of the components and interactions among the components of romantic passion are supposed to be like universal and to transcend different periods of time. So I would think if he thinks this is the way things worked in his time, he would be very surprised if somebody were to come to him from the future and say, oh, the basic mechanisms of attraction have changed. He would probably find that to be astonishing. So I would just assume, maybe that's not a point about society so much as it's just a point about the nature of our bodily and intellectual appetites. But insofar as it applies to us as a species, even now, this kind of analysis that he's giving, then you would expect it to be able to explain all kinds of relationships between all kinds of people throughout the world.
Well, it sounds like everything that he is saying would be relevant still. Like it's still, it still exists, but then things have changed too. Sometimes I think I make a mistake of thinking that, oh, that's the way people used to behave, and nope, you just got to go to another part of the world, and you see the way people still behave the way they behave. So yeah, I get that. Yay for me.
Yeah, no, I think that's true. I mean, this is my experience when I read a lot of philosophy. You realize how little has changed in a lot of cases when you read it. Like I was just teaching Socrates, or I guess like Platonic dialogue, the Euthyphro dialogue. Maybe you're familiar with this.
I read it, but
Uh,
I don't really remember.
right. I was just teaching it to my new students last Thursday, and like just so much of the way they talk to each other and the things they care about, it was just exactly the same. Like
Mm.
it doesn't seem like we've changed that much fundamentally. And I think I'm kind of with Hume here, maybe to the extent that, to the extent that he's giving us a remotely plausible description of the components of romantic desire and passion. I think they apply pretty well even now.
I think so too. Just
Yeah.
missing that smell portion.
Yeah. Get the pheromones in there. Just throw in a sentence about the pheromones, and you really it's 21st century Hume right there.
No, though, now, I will say this. If I say at the time, if I were to go back into this alternate world where I was there again with that lady, but I had read Hume, I understood Hume, or even like, yeah, this guy, his philosophy, I resonate with it. In fact, I'm going to adapt it to my own thinking. What would I have done? Would I have made different choices? Would I have like, okay, it's probably an off day, and I'll just keep kissing. It's probably, maybe it's I don't know if anyone would be, if I would have acted differently, have I had the knowledge and processed the knowledge of Hume. I just wonder, and would I be married now with kids?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like I keep immediately assuming I should give my take, but other people should. Maybe Jackie, maybe you have a thought.
I always go back to, how do you know when to draw the line in terms of being honest with a person? So if you had mentioned it, that she should take better care of her oral health, would that have derailed her on her end? Or would she have appreciated that you're trying to help her so that you guys could help each other? It's a tricky situation. But also, once you realize a certain smell has the potential to emit from a person, you kind of don't want to ever experience that again. So it's a tricky situation, I think.
Yeah, there's a risk there, right? If you tell her about her bad oral hygiene, it might destroy her self-esteem, right? She might suffer from the kind of humility that Hume thinks is destructive of amorous relationships. So I mean, it's really a case by case thing. I think it's just hard to say what might have been different if you just opened up about how your generative passion was being shut off by this bad smell.
Well, I'll say this, Jackie, you just unlocked a thought in me that I didn't think I could do, which was that you used the word help each other, or the words help each other. And you made me realize that and I don't know what anyone might say about this, but I now realize that was pretty selfish, right? Like, I'm like, okay, there's a mission here. And rather than be helpful, I was like, okay, abort mission, turn around, the squadron back to base. So you just kind of unlocked a thought in me. It's like, yeah, what was it seemed like my objective was pretty clear, and not there wasn't any thought for the other, really.
Yeah, it's a difficult one because I don't know that a lot of people would have spoken up. I think a lot of people would have done exactly what you did. And so it's just, in retrospect, you can look at it the way that I just said it, but we run on our instincts a lot. I think most people would have done exactly what you did. So don't beat yourself up.
Oh no, it's not to beat myself up. It was a curious thought, because oh, okay, hold on. We're going straight to 7-Eleven. We gotta get some mouthwash. We're here to help each other out. And then, drive. And it just that didn't happen that way. So yeah, next time I find myself in a similar situation, I'm gonna tell them we're getting mouthwash from Wawa.
That's a lesson for most of us at some point in our lives, right? Because I think my anecdote, which was in some ways similar to yours from like back in the day, was a similar case where like this thing happened and I was just immediately just utterly turned off, and like never really explained myself either. I just like completely distanced myself from this person. Did not have the cajones to say like what was wrong. So like, just like completely bottle up your problems. Never express yourself clearly, and then they'll just go away like magic, right? That's how you think like at a certain stage of your life. But yeah, at some point you have to think more about the other person's part in all of it, I suppose.
Yeah, not that I'm saying that's more of a dude kind of thing, but
Yeah, I think we're all guilty of that at one point.
not dude bashing. I believe I like myself. Just want everyone to know I like myself.
And also, women are we do the same thing. So,
Yeah, sometimes it's just easier.
because we're cowards.
Yeah, guilty as charged.
I've done plenty of it's all me. It's not you, it's all me stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Meanwhile, it was entirely them. If they just fucking brushed their teeth one time, it'd be fine. But
Right, right.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I want to get back to this. I'm sorry. I just I'm enjoying this conversation. I want to know. I just also did I beat Remy in all by all cases? I know you gave it. I mean, but I'm just wondering that if we talk long enough, that will change and we'll all go Richard won.
well, I think you're doing great. I think you're doing great right now. But again, I think during that initial conversation, you were much less willing to put yourself out there philosophically. That's how it seemed.
That's fair.
Okay, so I'm trying to think about what their stories were. I know Remy's story was about dating apps. Yeah, he was talking about dating apps and how he would look through the pictures. He didn't really read it. He just looked through the pictures first.
Another very common trait. One that I don't think I'm particularly guilty of, though. I actually do try to read those profiles. It's such a nightmarish experience being on those apps, one way or the other, though. It's just so utterly soul crushing.
So it also gives people the idea that there's just a new one and a better one just around the corner. And I've noticed this phenomenon as because I'm guilty of watching trash TV and I really love this show Married at First Sight. It's been around for a very long time, but these newer seasons you're seeing these people who have been on these dating apps for so long. So the whole objective of the show is they're matched up by professionals. There's a psychologist, religious pastor, and there's a religious pastor, whatever. But and then there's a sociologist, and they are responsible for matching up these people that are applying to be on the show. And so, but they want to be married. This is their goal. They want to be married. They want to start having children. They want to start having a family. And so they have to make it work because they're legally married the first time they meet each other. And these latest seasons, a lot of these people are coming off of these dating apps, and you're seeing these men who now in past seasons, they really stuck it out and they really tried to make the relationship work. But these newer seasons, you see these guys say almost like immediately the first problem comes up and the guys say, if this was in real life, I would already be gone. It's a very interesting dynamic. And I've been kind of in the dating scene for the last couple of years myself. Maybe I'm guilty of it too, because I'm like really not tolerant of a lot of stuff. But yeah, it's kind of wild how people aren't really doing much work to try to keep things working. They're just on to the next thing because you can swipe so easily.
I might be grasping at straws a little bit here, but the kind of phenomenon you're talking about did make me think about the end of these passages from Hume, where he talks about two ways in which we can excite our generative appetite. One by just the object sort of coaxing it out of us or causing us to have it, like the object of the beauty or whatever. And then the other way being our explicit, like our own reflection on this kind of appetite. Like we can kind of, I think maybe through the imagination or something, he's saying, sort of excite our own generative appetites, or maybe even other kinds of passions related to romantic love. And so maybe like using this kind of Humean framework, one way to at least describe what's going on more these days is that people are just only willing to sort of let the object of beauty be the thing that draws these passions out of them. And they aren't engaging in the kind of reflective work to sort of bring about that excitement on their own. They're just too quick to move on, to let something else or somebody else do all of the work for them.
Right. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you okay. So if I can understand that, it's like it feels like you're saying like when we see something or someone, and then we just sort of go into this automatic, almost unconscious binary, check, oh, X mark, and it's like, oh, it's too much effort, dump it. Move on. Yeah. Okay. So then if you see someone and then they evoke a feeling in you and you're like, ooh. Now you're saying people don't talk it out like in their brain.
Yeah.
And go, why do I feel that way? Oh, well, we're not taught to think like that, I don't think, right?
Yeah. And that's, I think, maybe part of why Hume himself admits that that's sort of like a less common way of stimulating our generative appetite or generative desire. He even says, I think, something like, if you sort of reflect on your own sexual appetites in order to excite those appetites too often, then it's going to like lose its effectiveness. And so maybe it's like a feature, it's like a sort of lucky fact about human nature that we don't only come to have sexual desire strictly through our own reflection on that faculty. Rather, it's fortunate that there are so many other things that cause us to have it, like people themselves or beautiful things more generally.
Okay. I'm going to say it like this, just to show you I think I understand. We tend to stick with the devil we know.
We do.
Yeah. Or if we get bored of that devil, we pick a new devil based entirely on how quickly they can make us feel something without doing
Hmm.
the work ourselves,
Without doing
so
the
to
work
speak.
ourselves.
Or any of the work ourselves, at least. Yeah.
Okay, I know this may be 5:44 in the morning, but I got that one. It's not easy to do for me at 5:44 in the morning.
Okay, now I remember Richard's story was about romantic comedies, rom-coms, and how not believable they are in terms of our actual relationships.
Yeah. What was the point there again? Exactly. Like in what way are they not believable? I mean, I agree for the record. I just there's probably many reasons I agree. So
Well, first of all, it seems to be like the hero's journey mapped into a rom com. You get all of these different people that are involved. I just don't see. I don't know. I just haven't seen someone talk to that old guy on the Zamboni to get advice on on love, right? Or the
yeah,
all
yeah,
these
yeah, yeah.
these different characters that come up. It's like, oh boy, you all really put it all together for me. I mean, I love 51st dates, but the entire community being involved in that, like, no, that's not. I don't think that's how it.
Yeah, like the drunk neighbor who ignored you for like 20 years suddenly has like this amazing advice for you. He's like, "You gotta go get the girl, kid. What are you doing?" It's just like you haven't talked to me since I moved here. Like, why are you saying this to me right now?
Yeah, yeah. So, we just hyperbolize, but it's a beautiful thing. It's we get it. We all would love happiness, and part of happiness is finding that person. I would think so. Yeah, 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 yeah. But yeah, it was rom coms. Don't they're great. They're fantasy, and I'm sure maybe people have seen elements of it, but as a whole picture, that's the roadmap for love or the humorous pursuits of love. Yeah, and maybe I need to live in a Vermont town and be had been a busy working lady in New York City.
You need to rediscover the true meaning of Christmas for sure, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's it.
So we tried to tie in our story with the text, and Remy's was the dating apps. Richard was how unbelievable romantic comedies are. So, of the two of those, who do you think tied into Hume a little bit better?
Might have to give this one to the dating apps, from my point of view, because I was able to at least maybe fabricate a kind of connection between what we were discussing in that context and the end of these passages from Hume. I think everything Richard says about the romantic comedies is true. I'm still fishing in my mind though for the kind of Humean connection. Maybe you have something there, Richard.
In terms of that process that we talked about earlier, rom-coms don't show that, but I feel like what we see is like more of the external stuff, right? The behavior. And so it's that behavior that I think it starts off with, hey, we're into each other, but only because of our own issues, or it's superficial, or like in what's that movie with Ryan Reynolds and Amy Smart? It's all set in Christmas and just friends. The whole notion of that is that he best friends. He was in the friend zone, wasn't attractive in high school, but he was attracted to his best friend. And then years later, he's come back. He's a playboy. He's rich. He's in shape and everything. Got everything fixed and all pretty. And he thinks, okay, I'm now good enough to get the lady. And then later, after a while, the morality of a rom com comes in, and it's like there's a deeper lesson to learn here, and it's like it's about being authentic. I just kind of was looking at the behaviors of those people and going, I'll admit, I made an extrapolation, right, a jump, but that was the first thing that come to mind because I know for me personally, I've never used a dating app.
It might be a good thing.
I don't know,
Yeah.
but so I was looking at the behaviors and I felt like, okay, it was it starts out external and then eventually people have to find if it's authentic.
If you wanted to tie that into the Hume reading, if you're talking about the story that you were describing, you could say that initially he was lacking the humility, I guess, if we're using that in that sense. And so then when he came back, he finally did have it, but then he was missing the component of authenticity.
I do think it's interesting. You could ask, What sorts of things would Hume agree are the kinds of features of a person that could stimulate amorous passion or cause amorous passion? And you don't really seem to get a discussion from Hume about anything like what we would call authenticity. I'm tempted to say he would say, yeah, that's the kind of thing that matters for stimulating the amorous passions, but I can't say for sure.
Maybe if he came after the existentialists who are all about living authentically, then
Yeah.
it might be a part of the discussion.
Have you talked about the existentialists on this show, or do you have plans to do so?
We have had a Nietzsche episode. God is dead, and we have killed
Of
him.
course.
Yeah.
Classic.
Remy's in the lead so far.
I feel terribly because you're doing twice the work, literally twice the work.
You know what? No, you know what? I'm ready. I'm
But
ready.
the good news is that Richard is learning. That's the whole point of the show. How did we do for context? And we were guessing when it was written and why it was written. Okay, Richard guessed 1887. Remy believed this was written in order to get women. So I don't think Remy did actually say a date. He just said that
Yeah.
the reason that he thought that it was written was in order to get women.
Yeah, to hook up with somebody. Okay. And then it was you, Richard, who had the date 1887 or something.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
1887.
now I reveal when it was written. That's
Yes.
the idea.
Yes.
Okay. It was written or published 1740 or 39.
Not
So like
bad.
130 years or so off, which is, not great. But I guess you could have picked a much earlier time too, right? You're not going to pick like 20th century, presumably. So
But like there was a lot of philosophy going on, like between in 130 years, there's like a lot of different theories being spat out, and
between 1740 and 1887.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
like but not like a whole lot. I mean,
Uh,
oh
uh,
Jesus.
I'm inclined to say a lot, but
Okay, well, all right, well, fine.
philosophy remains a pretty popular subject matter.
But wait a minute, what does Remy's answer get him?
I mean, I think you're both sufficiently wrong that it's a wash
Yeah.
because you were off by well over a century. Funny as the little suggestion is about why he wrote the text, I somehow doubt it, especially because this is really just a tiny portion of a much larger work. Very few people were even really reading him at the time, which he claims to have not cared too much about. He was okay with it, or that he'd be upset for like a week and then, get over it.
Yeah, that's how I feel about this show. Like it's good. It's getting us a slow start, but I'm okay with it because I think that if it were to like blow up immediately, I would feel very uncomfortable.
I have faith in the concept of this show, by the way. Everybody I described this to when I said I was doing this, they were like, wow, that's actually like an interesting podcast format in a sea of just like, there's all kinds of podcasts I like that are more traditional format, but like, yeah, it's hard to come up with an interesting concept. And I think you've done that. So
I don't know who won. Who won this one between Richard and Remy?
I'm inclined to give Richard the win on account of the strength of his contributions during this conversation. I think they shore up for the fact that Remy had the lead in the first half.
You hear that, Remy? Attendance matters.
Yeah. What kind of excuse is having a newborn child? Am I right?
Just want to say thank you so much, both of you. I really appreciate, Richard, you waking up at 5 a.m. and you might have to do it again because you're on another episode. And yeah, Dr. Bed, thank you so much. And like I said, if you want to do the show again, happy to have you. It's been a lot of fun. I like this conversation.
Thank you both for all the same reasons for inviting me on and quality of the conversation, of course.
Richard, do you want to promote your show? Because I know you guys have another show coming up.
Yeah. I mean, we do. So I mean, there's a couple of projects I'm part of. But one, it's a group called Gaggle Reflex. We do a sketch and improv comedy in Winokur in Florida, which is just outside of Orlando. And the next show is September 28th. Outside of that, I'm gonna go and join a dating app. You've convinced me.
Oh no.
To perform a Humean experiment.
Okay. Well, yeah. If it's for science, then you're good.
But thank you, Jackie, for having me and Dr. Ben. It was really cool meeting you.
Again, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you being here. And thank you for clearing up some Hume on love for us.
You're very welcome.
All right.
Take care.
Bye.